Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/football.
Welcome in, everybody, to Bear Bet, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns this season, and this week, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Download the DK Sportsbook app. Use the code BEARBETS. It's BEARBETS, 2 words, when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. NFL post-Thanksgiving is here. Joined again by Geoff Schwartz. We'll be joined in the gambling group chat in a little while by Will Hill and John Murray of the Superbook. Some crazy Thanksgiving games, especially with that Lions-Bears game. And it's really, I think, created a bit of doubt. And then the Black Friday game with the Chiefs kind of hanging on against the Raiders. I think it's created some doubt and maybe a little bit of a betting opportunity with a couple of teams with a plus in front of their price to maybe be the #1 seed. I think all along, a lot of people thought the Lions were going to be the 1 seed in the NFC. I've been kind of touting the Eagles for a while. Yeah. You could still get the Eagles pretty close to 2-1 to be the #1 overall seed in the NFC. They got one more game remaining in Washington. Panthers, Steelers, Cowboys, Giants at home. Yeah. Lions schedule's kind of tough. I got them at a better number a few weeks back, but I would still take this Eagles plus close to $2 to be the #1 seed in the NFC.
Sometimes, and maybe most times, the winner of a conference and the winner of the Super Bowl is the healthiest team of the elite teams. Mm-hmm. And right now, the Eagles are much healthier than the Lions. The Lions have 13 defensive players on injured reserve, plus other players that are hurt that are not playing this weekend, plus their left tackle is hurt. The Eagles are relatively healthy. I mean, Smith is in and out of the lineup every now and then, but that's about it. Mm-hmm. Your offensive line's intact, your defensive line's intact, and we're seeing every week, Bear, right? That defense seems to be getting just a little bit better.
Who would have thought N'Kobe Dean would have been a good pro? I know. Who would have thought that coming out of college?
No, they would have thought that. But they got the right coordinator now, right? Like they got a guy that it's not a crazy complicated defense. They just run it really well. They're fast everywhere. They got guys that can tackle, can play in space, rush the passer, and then on offense, they decided, we've talked about this for weeks now, Kellen Moore said, you know what? How about we use that Saquon Barkley guy a little bit more? And because of explosive playability, you don't have to get 10 yards every rush, right? You kind of just grind away, the opening, and boom, Barkley's through it. So it's taking the pressure off of Jalen Hurts having to be the offense. We saw end of last season when they struggled. It was a very Jalen Hurts-centric offense. So to me, it's the Eagles because the Lions, who are fantastic. It's just the injuries are going to catch up to them. Like it's a problem.
You mentioned the injuries. Does that kind of work in reverse with the way the Eagles play? Like running physical offensive line, physical defensive line. Like at this time of the year, like they just kind of wear teams. You saw it a couple of weeks ago against the Rams. They just wore them out in the second half because they run the ball.
Yes.
Pound. Like at this time in the year, that's not the type of team that you want to face come playoff time when you're physically worn out and beat up, right?
Correct. But also, too, because of their ability to run the football, control the tempo of the game, your opportunities to come back in games when you're down are tough against Philly, right? Like you have to get a stop, force a field goal against that offense, essentially, which is really hard to do. I mean, the Ravens had an opportunity last week up 9-0 to control that game, and they didn't, and then got behind. The Eagles never gave them the ball. Like the Eagles just controlled the back half of that game. So look, as far as just injuries, like that thing is a luck thing to me. Like the Eagles don't do anything, I think, that makes them have less injuries than the Lions. Mm-hmm. That's just a luck thing.
Right.
But as far as this part of the season, when you do have backups in the game or guys are beat up, here comes the Philly run game. And I do think, again, we talk about this all the time, having 4 downs to get a first down is easier than 3 downs.
Yes.
And their ability to get that extra yard or two on 4th down.
And using the all 4
Correct.
downs, like teams don't.
Changes how you have to play them defensively, but also changes your offense approach and what you can call on 3rd down. So I like Philly to win this, which I didn't think I would have thought a couple weeks ago, which I think you've been on for weeks now.
Yeah, I certainly think there's still a little bit of meat on the bone there. And there's also some meat on the bone, I think, in the AFC where the Bills are a slight plus 105.
Yeah.
Dog, I would say Chiefs minus 135 to be the 1 seed in the AFC. Chiefs continue to win these games. I don't know. I think the Bills have a chance, but their schedule is a little bit tougher than the Chiefs coming back, and it's something that we're going to address here as we kick off the gambling group chat with Will, John Murray, myself, and Jeff. Bills, Rams, and AFC number 1 seed talk coming up. Back again, gambling group chat time, NFL style. Myself and Jeff joined, as always, by John Murray from the Superbook and Will Hill. Not a super slate this week, but a bunch of really close line games. So hard week to really, I think, find an edge. But there is a pretty significant game out west. Bills at the Rams. Looks like we got the Bills around 3.5 or 4. And that, of course, is our Super 6 game of the week, sponsored by DraftKings. We'll have the column coming out later in the week as we get closer to the game. And one of the questions obviously going to be, what will the outcome of the football game be? Of course, it's a football game. We're talking about football. And we really need to clarify that. Well, the outcome be Rams win or tie, lose by 4 points or fewer. You know how the drill works. Free money, Super 6, sponsored by DraftKings. We were talking about this before we got going here. Josh Allen, the clear MVP favorite right now. Does he kind of have it in the bag? But the Bills might have a chance, outside chance here at the 1 seed, John, right?
Well, they definitely do. I don't even know if it's an outside chance. You look at they've got the head-to-head win over Kansas City. Kansas City been very vulnerable now for weeks. They could have easily lost the game last Friday. Kansas City could have lost maybe 4 or 5 games, guys. I mean, how many times have they narrowly escaped? And they still, I think they're like 10-1 or 11-1 now, but they could easily be 6-5. They've been so, I don't want to say lucky, because when you do it every week, it stops being luck. But they've been very fortunate a few times to escape. We'll say that. I know we're going to need the Rams here. Look at the time slot, Sunday afternoon. This game will go at 1:25 on the West Coast. So a lot of parlays are going to go to Buffalo. But we are rooting for Josh Allen to be the MVP. We don't want the MVP to be Saquon Barkley. So maybe the Bills, maybe Josh Allen can have a great game, solidify his MVP, and not cover the spread. Will, is that possible? We'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, I think it is possible. And there are a lot of situational things that do favor the Rams here. The Bills clinched the division. Bills are playing in snow. Now they're going to sunny LA. They have the Lions next week. So the quote unquote sharp side is the Rams, the home dog, getting the points. But I just can't get there. I just think the Bills are a better team, a more well-rounded team. You have Stafford dealing with an ankle behind a shaky offensive line. We've seen, Jeff, these quote unquote sharp sides lose all year. It has not been one of these years where, hey, you take the home dog, you fade the public, that kind of thing. It has not worked this year.
It hasn't, but I'm going to go back to the well on that one. I mean, I'll keep wagering, I guess, the way I normally do. I mean, the Rams are in a great spot, I think, here, right? You mentioned all the situational things with Buffalo, the emotional win in the snow. How fun was that game, right? The play that, Josh Allen threw a touchdown pass to himself, technically. I mean, all these cool things that happen. Now you go on the road. It's not really a road environment, but you are going across country now. Guys, when the Rams are healthy, right? When everyone's healthy, when Stafford's healthy, and when Kupp is healthy and Puka Nacua is healthy and Williams is healthy, the offensive line, the team, they're a very tough out. Like they're a team that's going to continue to attack. And they have to win also. We talk about Buffalo having to win to continue to strive for 1 seed. The Rams are in a spot where they're in the division right now, right? I think they're 1 game back of Seattle, with Seattle, Arizona to end the season. So the Rams have to win also. I think it's a spot to wager against the public here, which is not always a spot that's won this season, but a spot I want to be on.
No, it hasn't. The short little favorite side, public favorite sides have been certainly doing very well for a lot of people, and you see a lot of those 15-game parlays that we saw cash this week with basically every single favorite winning. But we'll see if that can continue. Like you said, Rams certainly alive in this division, and the Bills alive for the 1 seed. This feels like one of those games I'm just going to sit back and enjoy and not necessarily have a side. But if I did need to pick a side for that Super 6 game, I'd lean Bills. I agree with Will. The biggest game, however, this week, certainly the most competitive, I think the most interesting, is the game in Kansas City between the Chargers and the Chiefs. That Chargers offense last week did not look great. They were so fortunate to beat the Falcons. You had the Kirk Cousins turnovers. It was a Chargers offense that did not look good without J.K. Dobbins. It feels like now going on the road to Kansas City with the Chiefs, and you're laying 4 with Kansas City, it feels like a game now where a lot of people are beginning to think the Chiefs are due to lose, which I guess you could say they are, but maybe some people really not believing this Chiefs team is good. They were kind of fortunate to get out of LA with the win against the Chargers earlier this year. That was a game where Rice got hurt and Mahomes did not play great, but the Chiefs, as they've done all year, won a close game. I'll have some more thoughts on this game later in the show, but it almost feels like, John, a spot where a lot of the people out, I'm sure, at the Superbook are probably coming in on Kansas on the Chargers here, just because of the Harbaugh factor and because the Chiefs again flirted with disaster last week.
Yeah, they did, and Mahomes has certainly struggled at times this season. But guys, hold on to your hats. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Mahomes is going to play better in this game than Kirk Cousins did last week against the Chargers.
I don't know. You sure about that?
Slightly. Just a hunch that he's going to play a little bit better than Cousins did. Cousins single-handedly lost that game on Sunday. It was a stunning performance. Unfortunately, I sat through a lot of it because the book really needed Atlanta. Kansas City at 3.5, which is what we opened the game on Sunday night, did get some very, very sharp money early in the week. And they moved us up. Right now, we're at Kansas City -4 at the Westgate. I do think Bear's right. I think that a lot of public bettors are going to talk themselves into the Chargers because of everything we've talked about. Kansas City does win every game, Will, but they always barely escape every week. I think a lot of people are going to talk themselves into the Chargers, but the sharp money here at the Westgate is on Kansas City.
Yeah, both of these teams have a lot of problems right now. It's just whose problems do you like less or more, however you want to look at it. Chargers, as Bear mentioned, all of their good players on offense, Dobbins, McConkey, they're all beat up. They don't really have much outside of that. The Chiefs, as Jeff knows, they have a lot of issues defensively. We'll see if they've addressed the left tackle with Humphreys. Jeff can speak more to that than I can. But they gave up 7 yards per play to the Raiders at home last week. So it would be a lean to the Chiefs. They never seem to cover these numbers. They win, but they don't cover. Maybe this is the week they do it. It's a good game, but it'd be Chiefs or nothing, I bet you, Jeff.
Yeah. The Chiefs' problems are probably easier against the Chargers offense that probably can't exploit them, right? I mean, look, the Chiefs have a second cornerback essentially problem, right? McDuffie's really good. When Watson got hurt, the other side of the defense essentially crumbled, and they haven't found a replacement. And their pass rush, by the way, is not getting home either. No. So both those things are happening at the same time. The issue is, okay, let's take McConkey away with McDuffie. Who's Herbert throwing the ball to? The answer is no one. Like, there's no one that you really worry
about. Will Dissly.
You could do Will Dissly. And then the other side, look, if the Chiefs can get Humphreys to play this week, and I don't know how much he can play or how long he can play, but that certainly does help a Chiefs offense. It really is just like a left tackle away, I think, from being much better. They're fine as it is. Also, guys, worth noting, a little extra rest for Kansas City, right? They played Friday. Now they play Sunday night. They are very good when they get a little bit of rest. And so I think that's another factor toward Kansas City. I will say, last thing here too, as someone who's seen this rivalry and played this rivalry, the Chargers just always seem to treat this game as a Super Bowl. This game always feels closer than it should be. Remember a couple of years ago, the Chargers were driving to take the lead and Herbert threw a pick six. Like, they just sort of, these games are close, okay? So just be careful of that when you say, oh, Kansas City's going to win and cover this game. They tend to be close games.
Yeah, imagine that, an NFL game. It's a one-possession game.
Never happened before.
Never. No. It never, ever happens before. But yeah, I'm looking forward to taking this one in on Sunday night. Big one, however, Thursday night, tonight. I guess I could say tonight. We're recording this now. Packers-Lions. Again, we talked about the Chiefs escaping on Sunday with or Friday with the win. The Lions escaping in just an absolutely bizarre Thanksgiving afternoon game where Matt Eberflus ultimately lost his job after the poor clock management and the way the Bears blew that game against the Lions. I'm still not convinced the Packers are this great game. That was the kind of the game that we all thought we were going to get from the Dolphins on Thanksgiving night. Cold weather, some poor decisions, just game kind of spiraling away. The Dolphins are who they thought we are. They beat the bad teams, and against the good teams, they lose. We're going to need to see probably a little bit more from, at least I shouldn't say we, me. I still need to see more from the Pack. I'm not convinced they're this great,
you have this blind spot for this
team. I do, and I admit it, and maybe I'm wrong. I like the Lions here minus the 3.5. I know they are beat up beyond belief with injuries. I know they were fortunate last week, and I know they are now in the tough stretch of the schedule. And I've actually made a really good case that I think the Eagles rather are going to wind up being the number one seed in the NFC, and the Eagles are going to be the team that hosts the NFC Championship game. The Eagles are going to be the team that gets this. But I like the Lions here. They did a really good job in the elements up at Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. The Packers offense did absolutely nothing. And I think indoors now, I know they nearly went there last year and, well, they did go there last year and win, right? That was the big Thanksgiving upset, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But,
Yes.
yeah, I'd lay the 3.5 tonight with the Lions, John. I don't know. I'm assuming the Lions are going to be the side that people are coming in on.
What was so bizarre about the Bears coaching staff blowing a game at the end of the game? I didn't think that was strange at all. That was basically what I thought was going to happen. We opened this game Lions 3.5. Right now we're at 320. At least when we started to record the show, we're at 320. So why is the line so low when Detroit's been a big favorite in every game? Now they're at home. It's because Detroit is so banged up defensively.
Yep.
They've got so many guys. I mean, even look at the end of that Thanksgiving game. The Bears were able to move the ball pretty effectively until their coaching staff got involved at the very end of the game. But the Green Bay, I mean, I know what you're saying about the Packers, Bear, but Green Bay is very potent offensively. I like the play caller. I like Love. Detroit's got so many guys hurt. They've got the Bills game looming next week. At some point, you have to think that Detroit's going to show some vulnerability, Will. I do think the sharp money is not going to be on Green Bay tonight in what is really another stellar Thursday night game. I can't make my annual Thursday night game sarcastic, flippant remarks this year.
Yeah, save it for Monday night. Save it for Monday night. The Cowboys and Bengals.
The Monday night game's a real jewel, but this Thursday night game is pretty darn good. I got to say, should be an interesting game.
Yeah, I was going to make the same point. We always rag on the Thursday games. It's almost like eating your vegetables. You do it because you feel like you have to, feel like you're obligated. This year they've been good. Browns Steelers in the snow was good. Bengals Ravens. As far as this game, I think I like the over more than anything. I lean towards the Lions. I do think it's a little cheap. But you're in an indoor track, two good offenses. Lions are going to get their points against everybody, against anybody. The Packers, I think, will move the ball, especially with how beat up Detroit is. So to me, a 31-28, 28-24 type of game. I like the over here. And you mentioned the 1 seed, Bear. I will just throw it out there. There is an 11-1 on Minnesota to be the 1 seed. If you think Detroit can stumble, they play the Bills, they play the 49ers, they play at Chicago, which could be tricky. Maybe it's Philly. Maybe Philly does take it. Their schedule's not that bad. Steelers at Commanders, but Minnesota is just a very, very quiet 10-2 there.
Well, I was going to say, I just want to look at the Viking schedule here. Falcons, Bears, at Seahawks,
Cousins' revenge game.
Packers, Lions. So they would probably have to go to Detroit last game of the year and win. You would think.
But if you're sitting on 11-1 and it comes down to one game, that's not a bad
that's a pretty good spot to be in. Yeah, the Wi-Fi better work on the plane tonight so I can stream this game.
The Vikings fan wants the Vikings to have the 1 seed. What a shocker! if you're in that stadium, are you booing Cousins when he comes back on Sunday? Are you a big boo guy?
In my head, I am. Not out loud. He's a nice guy, but in my head, I'm just like, look. I mean, he's a decent player, but let's just lay the facts out there. The year before they got Cousins, the Vikings went 13-3. The year after he leaves, it looks like they're going to go about 13-3. So, you know what? People say Cousins didn't have enough support. The facts speak for themselves.
I'm with you. Very quickly on this game, Josh Jacobs over 71 and a half.
Be quick.
71 and a half rushing yards, I think, is a good play because of what we mentioned with the Lions defense, guys. 13 defensive players on injured reserve off the Lions defense, plus 3 more players got hurt on Thanksgiving that will not play tonight, and their left tackle is not playing. Eventually, you run out of football players. This is not college where you have a bunch of 5-star young kids like ready to fill those roles. You don't have the depth. It becomes a problem. You saw, and everyone's mentioned it here, the second half of that Bears game where very clearly a limited defense allowed the Bears to do what they wanted. The first half of that game, the Bears had like 9 plays through the first 28 minutes of the first half. I mean, they had nothing. And all of a sudden, that attrition on the Lions defense. So I think the Packers will score tonight. The question is, can they stop the Lions enough? I lean Packers here, but I like that Jacobs prop. It's over 71 and a half rushing yards. They rely on him a lot. And the Lions, middle of that defense, guys, middle linebacker, defensive tackle are just really beat up right now.
I think of everything I do like Will's overplay. I think that's the play I'm going to wind up making here as I sit on my plane later tonight and hopefully watch this game. We mentioned Kirk Cousins. The Falcons go to Minnesota now. We joked about Will booing him in his mind. Is there a chance at all we see Michael Penix in this game?
Oh, well,
you're going to do that to a rookie against Brian Flores. I know what you mean. Cousins might just be shot this week, but man, throwing Penix out there first game, hey, on the road, Minnesota, loud building, Brian Flores throwing a million different, looks at you coming and going. That's not ideal, but they might have to. I don't know.
I don't think they do it mid-game. I think it's a little unfair to Penix at this point, but I do think that if they lose this 4th game in a row, and Cousins in the last 3 games has 0 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions, and he has another game like that, which is certainly likely. The Vikings lead the league right now in interceptions per game, and they have a defense that can really confuse quarterbacks, and Cousins just has not looked comfortable in the pocket at all in the last 3 weeks. If they lose the 4th game in a row and Tampa Bay wins this weekend, which is likely as they host the Raiders, and now Tampa Bay is winning the South, to save your season, you have to go to Penix. Like, what? You drafted him. I know you wanted to wait 2 or 3 years to play him, but this is the exact reason you drafted him, right? Was if Cousins is hurt or not playing, which I don't think they thought would happen, here's a guy to come in as a rookie and sort of save your franchise, right? Save your season. Look what's happening with Bo Nix and Jay Daniels and Caleb Williams. Like, they are playing. Drake May even is playing well. Like, these guys have come in and played well so far. So if you can get Penix in there, John, the next couple of weeks, you might have a chance to still make the playoffs.
Well, there's no way Penix could have played worse than Cousins did last year.
Correct.
I mean, you really almost can't play a worse game than that as a starting quarterback. So I never understood what Atlanta was doing, giving Cousins $100 million, then using a top 10 pick on a quarterback. I don't think they really know what they're doing. So nothing would surprise me. I mean, you're talking about, they obviously have no plan as an organization, and it shows with those 2 moves. I agree with Will. I don't think you can play Penix this week, but at some point you might as well go to him because it just can't get any worse.
Yeah, you Jeff, you brought up their opportunity to potentially make the playoffs. Like if they were to lose Sunday, and fall to 6 and 7, the next couple of games, Raiders, dead team walking awful, and Giants, dead team walking awful. Like, that seems like an opportunity where you could potentially slide him in for games against 2 teams that basically have gone into, I don't want to say tank mode because the Raiders easily could have won in Kansas City last week, but the Giants game at home, that seems like a logical spot where you bring him in, you kind of save the season. You got Commanders, Panthers to end the year. Like, as scary as it sounds, like playoffs and division title are still on the table here because they do have the 2 wins against Tampa, even though they probably should have lost that first game at home. I don't even think I gave the spread in this game. What we got? Vikings 5.5, 6. John, do we think that's going to hit 6 ultimately all across the board? I know it's 6 at DraftKings right now. Do you think you guys are going to get to 6?
I think it's very possible. I mean, the public is definitely going to be on Will's Minnesota Vikings here, especially after that performance from Atlanta last week, which was just so pathetic. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, I know that you mentioned it at the top of the show. There's some pretty short numbers this week in the NFL. So Minnesota is going to be in like every money line parlay we write this week. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see the books move the number up a little bit and try to get a little bit of money back on the Falcons.
John and Jay and Jeff and everybody at this book going to have their Atlanta Falcons jerseys on Sunday, looking for a little bit of help from team.
Well, we don't wear jerseys to work, Bear. I'm not sure if that was a joke. No. We can't do that. We're very important individuals.
I almost wore my Liverpool jersey today for you.
I would never wear jerseys to do anything.
I was wearing a Liverpool pullover last Sunday when I was at work because the team was playing Manchester City. I'm sure you saw that game, Jeff.
I did. It was one of my favorite games of the week.
Good to hear.
Who'd you think the man of the match should have been? Virgil or Mo Salah?
Roy Kent.
I would have said. Oh, you're talking to Jeff. Oh, that was I thought you were asking me seriously.
I would have said Virgil.
He was looking at me. So
I would have said Virgil.
Same. Will, right? Same Virgil? Yeah, I think
it has to be Virgil.
Has to be Virgil.
Of course. Good answer, Will.
It is. People said he's no longer what he was after the knee injury, and maybe he's not, but he's still a fantastic player. Anyway,
people are wrong.
People are wrong. Point on the road yesterday at Newcastle, saw that coming a mile away. Anyway, Seahawks Cardinals, division leading Seattle Seahawks, with a win last week against the New York Football Jets. It's always like into New York Football Giants, New York Football Jets is kind of the tongue in cheek as well. Arizona was again last week the game in Minnesota and not going for it, kicking the field goal. You could see that outcome coming a mile away. We thought Seattle was kind of, I don't want to say a fraud, but I kind of thought Seattle was kind of going down in the tank. I thought their record was a little not realistic of who they were, but you beat the Niners, you win last week, and now you are alone in first place in this division. I thought this gives ultimately going to be Arizona or Seattle to win this division, and now Seattle can really take control of this division if they can escape Arizona with the win. We got some 2.5s out there at DraftKings, 44.5. John, you guys are at 3. I still think Arizona is better, but the number is telling me that Seattle's the right side here.
Well, I didn't do the show last week, guys, because I was out watching. I'll be honest with you guys, I was watching a Liverpool soccer game in a bar, and I was drinking beer. But if I had been on the show, I would have told you this, and it would have shocked you. All the sharp guys bet the Jets against Seattle.
No way.
No. I know. It's stunning. And you saw that line move to Jets -2, and the Jets got out to a pretty good-sized lead, if I remember correctly.
14 points,
and Seattle, what a win by Seattle, honestly, to come back on the road in that sandwich spot between the two Arizona games. That was a really impressive win by the Seahawks. They have been betting us Arizona here. We've moved it up from 2.5. Bear mentioned it. We're at 3 even right now. We opened the game 2.5. So the money has been coming in on the Cardinals. Cardinals really had every opportunity to beat Will's Vikings last week on the road. So both these teams are playing pretty well right now. The toss-up game, I would lean to Arizona. I like Arizona more as well. But, to Bear's point, Seattle I continue to underestimate Seattle is what I'm trying to say. I continue to write these guys off, and they continue to prove me wrong, Will. Just like just about everything else this NFL season.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble when you go from up 3 to up 6, man. You're just making the other team more aggressive. That is a dangerous lead to have. And for Seattle, it all started with that comeback against the 49ers. 49ers 1 first down away from basically ending Seattle's season. At least that's how it felt. Geno Smith starts running all over the place. Next thing you know, Seattle wins in San Francisco. San Francisco's dead. Seattle's resurgent. So that's kind of a fulcrum moment. Now, maybe San Francisco with all their injuries wouldn't have been relevant anyway, but I like the under here. I just remember watching the first game, was it 3 weeks ago, 16-6, and we got a defensive touchdown. Neither team got 300 yards of offense. Both teams allowed 5 sacks. Basically kind of a division title game, so maybe both teams, a little feeling out process early. I think it's going to be hard to get to 45 points in this game.
So there's a tweet by Kevin Clark of, I think it's in Omaha now, but he says it's November 11th, 2019, the Seahawks have literally never played a normal game. They're one of the hardest teams to wager on for this reason, right? The last 2 weeks, their margin of victory has basically been a pick 6 on a 4th down against Arizona on a weird play by Kyler Murray. I don't know why he threw the football. And then a Leonard Williams 95-yard, Leonard Williams, by the way, is a defensive tackle, a 95-yard interception return of a tip pass when he was dropping into coverage. Like, if that's the margin of victory in your last 2 games, I don't know how good you are. So I just think it's tough to wager on them for that reason. Like if they play a normal game, which again,
they're the Louisiana Tech of the NFL.
Arizona's going to win if they have no interception return. I think Arizona's going to win and cover. So it's hard to wager on or against the Seahawks for that reason, because every time I wager on them, something weird happens. When I don't wager on them or fade them, something weird happens. But I would go with Arizona here. I think they're better overall as a team. They're at home here. And the Seahawks, again, have won 2 straight games where a pick 6 mattered a lot in the final score.
Leonard Williams, former
USC Trojan.
Former Jet Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
Geno Smith revenge game last
when
week.
USC used to be good at football, and their coach wasn't rumored to go to UCF. So
yeah, we were talking about that on the college.
I hope he stays
like that. That doesn't just get out there. Like someone put that out there, and someone
John did.
Who?
Wait, you're talking Lincoln Riley to UCF as a rumor?
Yeah,
that got out. But like, why? How does that get out there? That's just not like throwing stuff against the wall. Like there's a reason that's out there. That's
how much money has Lincoln Riley made the last 2 seasons or last 5-6 seasons to not win football games?
Well, he'd take a pay cut to go to UCF, but it could be a nice soft land. It could be a nice soft landing for him if because SC fans are not happy with him. There hasn't changes in the administration, so we'll see. Who the hell knows? But John, you mentioned that Jets thing. Like, I think it was David Purdom, I think, who tweeted it out. Or someone tweeted like in like the last 6 games for the Jets, like 4 times they opened as an underdog and closed as a favorite. Like amazing. What? Yeah. Like how? And I don't know. What's the Einstein definition of insanity? Like the same thing over and over again. It's like why are people doing this with the Jets? They stink. They're terrible.
I don't know, but I can tell you guys, like, I've been doing these media shows for a few years in my current role, and all I ever say is, here's what I saw the sharp guys betting. And then when it loses, everybody's like, oh my God, the books are lying again. And blah,
blah.
They're not lying. I mean, the Jets went from like +1, +1.5. They closed -2 because all these wise guys bet the Jets. The Jets lost the game. But that doesn't change the fact that the Jets seem to get the money every week. I have no idea why, because they never deliver, but they continue to get it every week.
And that is like, I was like the Browns a couple of years ago too, or like the sharp team, and every week they were, and that worked out well as well. Not working out well. We mentioned earlier the Bears, Eberflus gone on the road against the 49ers, who probably dead. You hate to say dead because they still, like, Seattle loses and they win. You're only a game back. They're like the Cincinnati. They're like our Cincinnati Bengals of the NFC. There, John. Like, I actually like them this week. I think this number is short, -4. It feels like a spot, I think, where you're going to see a lot of people on the Bears because they finally did get rid of Eberflus, and they really should have won that game last week, or at least sent that game to overtime in Detroit. It feels like finally people are just putting the 49ers out of their misery with all of the injuries that they have now. McCaffrey and Jordan Mason hurt. But I actually like them this week. I'm gonna wind up laying the 4. I will wind up laying the 4 with San Francisco. Any chance that I get lucky and this thing might hit 3.5, my friend?
Well, we agree with you because Sunday night we actually opened this game 49ers -5.5. So think back to when we were doing those numbers. It was before the Sunday night game, before the game against Buffalo where McCaffrey got hurt. But we did think this number should be a little bit higher. Bears do have a few extra days of rest, but they are breaking in a new coach. It's just, these games are always tough for me, Will, because I don't really think either team has much to play for. I mean, I do think the 49ers are dead, and the Bears, they finally fired their coach, and they're looking ahead to next season. I find these games to be kind of difficult to handicap.
I like the Bears. You hit on it. The extra rest, the new coach bump. Matt Eberflus, we're going to miss you, buddy. And look, the Bears, the last few weeks, I know it's not pretty and they're a punching bag right now, and deservedly so. They played the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings. That's three of the best teams in the NFC, three of the best teams in the league. They could have won any of the games. Block kick against the Packers, the debacle last week against Detroit on Thanksgiving, and then the Minnesota game went to overtime, which you probably shouldn't have. But still, they've been in these games. Caleb Williams has looked better. To me, the 49ers is like it's like Mike Tyson at the end of the Jake Paul fight. They're just waiting to hear the bell. They're old. They're tired. They've had a million injuries. Trent Williams might not go. Horrible situation with his family. Just a tragic thing. Yeah. So, man, it just feels like it's all falling apart. They've played so many games the last 4 or 5 years. It feels like they're out of gas. And, man, you could say, hey, if they win, they're only a game back. Yeah, but they still have to play the Lions. They still have some tough games here. I think it's over, at least this year, for the 49ers.
I think I have to agree with you on the Niners take here, Will, right? I mean, there's so many injuries, and this is what happens when you have a very top-heavy roster. I mean, think about, we talked about this heading the season, I think, with why we liked maybe the Niners unders. A couple injuries, and that's it. I mean, you have, a high-paid tight end, a high-paid left tackle, high-paid running back, a wide receiver, a defensive end, a linebacker, a corner. Like, you can't pay everyone, right, and have depth on your team, right. And they losing those top guys. They don't have guys to replace them. But I don't trust the Bears at all. This is just a stay away game for me. I mean, there's just, you can fade the Niners, go ahead and do so. I mean, that's certainly a play to make. But the Bears, even with the coach firing, I don't know, man. There's something about them and the way they played this season. And maybe there'll be a weightlifter because Eberflus is not there anymore. The end of game operation last weekend, very quickly, you either call the timeout basically immediately, or you don't, to be fair, you don't call it because there's not enough time to when you get about 20 seconds.
Oh, they didn't call it. Don't worry. They didn't call it.
The thing is, the ball has to be snapped. If you use the timeout with about 12 seconds left, the game is over. You have no play but a Hail Mary. So, it wasn't totally coaching fault there. The problem is once you realize Caleb Williams didn't have a play and wasn't ready to go, call a timeout about 25 seconds and then live to fight another day.
As soon as you get set.
Right. That's when you call it. That's when you call it because then you have time to complete a pass, run your field goal team on, but people kept saying, well, call a timeout. No, once you get to about under 20 seconds, the timeout in that situation, you kind of lose the game if you call a timeout there. You don't have enough time to run your field goal team on that third down play. So, again, my point is I'm not sure coaching change matters in Chicago. I think they're kind of lifeless too, so I would stay away from this.
Even after the mistake, though, 58 yards indoors. Like, I know he's not a good kicker. They've had kicking issues. Most of these guys can hit from 58 indoors. I'd much rather have that than a Hail Mary. I don't know.
Oh, I agree. I agree. But then, look, again, to your point about you should call the timeout immediately because then, look, you still have a rookie quarterback, right? In a high leverage situation. He hasn't been in much this season. And you're indoors. You're playing in Detroit. Like, it's a tough environment. Just call the timeout and reset the offense. You have 35 seconds. It was 32 seconds left. You have time to get a play in, call the right play, get 10 to 15 yards, you hope, run the field goal team on because you can't spike the ball. It's fourth down. And then go ahead but once you get about under 20 seconds, Will, you don't have enough time to complete a pass and run your field goal team on. So nonetheless, my point is I don't trust the Bears or the Niners. I'd stay away from this one.
Now, how does that work? Do they get to do they get a fourth timeout for the first half this
Yes, they do.
Carry over the next
one?
Yes, they do.
It's like the targeting penalty. You have to use it in the first half, though.
One last thing on this game. The 49ers were down big against the Bills the whole time. That is like a pass-heavy script. Usually you get garbage yards, garbage time. Purdy threw for like 90 yards. I'm not sure he's healthy. I know it was the snow, but he did not look good. So it's just, man, there's not a lot of things I like about the 49ers right now.
Yeah, I'll probably hate myself for making this bet, but I hate myself for a lot of things these days, but I may as well just add one thing to the list. John, I don't think the Bengals are going to wind up cashing that odds to make the playoff ticket that we had on them back about 6 weeks ago. Don't think that's going to happen. What a dreadful game Monday night. Bengals at Cowboys. This might feel like a night where I'm going to catch up on maybe the that game. You guys watch that Game 7 doc on Amazon Prime? So it's about like individual stories about like Game 7s.
No, I would like to watch
it. Really good.
I'll watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
It was really good. They have a whole bunch of different ones. There was one on Game 7 of the 2003 World Series. Yankees Red Sox. There was a story on Game 7 between the Oilers and the Flyers in the Cup. Like, good stuff.
Is there a Game 7 for Liverpool anywhere?
No, there are no Game 7s. But you could do a.
I would watch that.
I would watch it. See what we'd love on that, Sean, would be like the home leg of Barcelona, like that the second leg. Like, here, see, Geoff, you're creating content. Here we go. Here we go.
That was a fun.
The Bear Bets podcast production team can get together and we can come up with the second leg and go up with great Champions League second leg ties. Yeah, that was a. I think I scared everybody.
Are we done talking about Bengals Cowboys though? Because that's the point of this. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's all. That's what Bengals Cowboys needs to be discussed. That.
Okay. I saw a tweet this morning.
I can't. I got nothing for you.
I saw a tweet this morning about this. I saw a tweet this morning that said it was a story from Sports Illustrated. Matt Verderame wrote it, where he said the Bengals should do what the Chiefs did and basically get rid of Jamar Chase and rebuild using those draft picks because they have a lot of holes in their team. Is that an option you think for the Bengals this offseason? Like just sort of do the Tyreek Hill thing, like get draft picks, use those picks to bolster, especially defensively where they really struggle.
Thing is, if you go and look at their drafts, they've spent a lot of draft picks on defense. The guys just, I don't know. Anarumo was a guy who was like lining up for head coaching jobs. Now nobody seems to look. His defenses aren't very good. So I don't know what's happened. They're putting the capital in terms of the draft into the defense. The defense is just awful. They are just a pure over team. To give up whatever they did last week to Russell Wilson, 400 something yards. I mean, that's a horrible performance to me. It'd be over or nothing. But yeah, this is not one I'm going to be heavily invested in.
It's funny you mentioned the defense. Yeah. I just opened up X right now. Logan Wilson, their linebacker, out for the season, surgery. So another defensive piece they won't have. Not that it matters right now, but geez, they're in a bad place, John.
I don't know how you trade Jamar Chase. I mean, the guy is too good. And to Will's point, like you trade Jamar Chase for these draft picks. Do you trust the Bengals front office to hit on any of these guys? They've got this receiver who's so unbelievably great. He plays well with Burrow. They've played together for a long time. I don't know how you break up that duo. I don't have a lot to say about this game, Bear. I mean, I don't think, even though it looks like the typical road favorite to close the week on Monday Night Football, I don't know how much of a liability we're really going to have because I don't think that many people are going to want to bet the Bengals. You know, this game is so bad. I think you're going to see most of our parlays this week ending on Sunday night with a great Sunday night game. And thank you for mentioning all the Bengals futures that I have. And just a reminder that I will continue working as we go into 2025. I'm going to keep showing up for work every day, fellas. Yeah, I don't think the Bengals are going to deliver me to early retirement.
No. Yeah. I think the last bet I made, or really like the one, it was funny because I had under like season wins on them early, like before the year. And then with the start, I'm like, yeah, let me take a little shot with a little over an adjusted number, and that's not going to get there. Mm-hmm. And the plus one in the playoffs. So it's all ultimately going to be a wash. But the other thing to watch, by the way, is the in-season Hard Knocks with the AFC North. That I saw the first episode there. That was an entertaining watch where they got behind the scenes crew with all four AFC North teams. It ends prior to the Broncos Browns game for Monday night. So that'll be next week, which will be entertaining. The reason I say that, Browns at Steelers this week. The Steelers are 2 games up in the loss column now on the Ravens in this division. No one really saw this coming, probably outside of that Steelers locker room. The Browns, like, Jameis Winston is must-see TV because he's always going to do something that just makes you say, wow. It's just going to be the inflection of how you say, wow. A lot of respect now for the Steelers, though. Like 6.5 in this game. I don't know if I can lay 6.5 with the Steelers against the Browns here, knowing that they did beat them a couple of weeks ago. People are thinking revenge, and it was a weird game, obviously, in the snow. But I want no part of laying 6.5 here, John.
Well, you know what? I don't disagree with you there, but I'm the wrong guy to talk to because I've doubted the Steelers every week of this season.
So did Geoff.
I doubted the move when they switched over to Russell Wilson. I thought that was a mistake, and I've just been wrong about the Steelers from the jump. So, Will, you take it away. I don't know what to make of this team. All they do is keep winning. Now they're scoring points in droves. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't want to lay a big number with Tomlin and the Steelers, but I bet on the Browns and Jameis Winston on Monday night, so I could use a week off from Mr. Winston. I don't know that I need to sit through that again. How about this one, though? Pittsburgh defense to score the first touchdown, 29-1. Winston's going to basically, throw a pick six in pregame warmups before the national anthem. Steelers most takeaways in the league, 29-1, worth a shot, I think.
I like that. Yeah, or maybe a Watt strip sacks fumble. Someone scoops it up and runs it in. I'm going to make that bet. See, we were talking about this. We were talking about this a couple weeks ago with what was it? The Vikings and someone.
Yes.
Caleb Williams versus Flores. Yeah. The Bears had the ball on their own 1 or 2.
I know.
I know. Ball, a sack, but it didn't work. I mean, it's a long shot for a reason, obviously.
Correct.
But there's at least some thought behind it.
I like that.
First score, Pitt Steelers. Here we go. Yeah. Look, I had the Broncos on Monday. I will admit that I don't deserve to cover that game most likely.
Wrong side, right result.
I'll take it every now and then. It's a long NFL season. Look, backing Mike Tomlin as a big home favorite is typically a bad wager, but as John mentioned top of the show, those wagers are hitting this season. So what do I know? What do we know? I've been against Steelers every week. I can this year. I was on them last weekend because again, it's an underdog, divisional underdog, great wager. Home favorite, typically not a good wager.
This is the kind of game that they lose. What was it last year? They lost at home as a big favorite to the Patriots.
Wasn't the Cardinals 2 years ago? It was like
Cardinals and the Patriots.
Cardinals and the
Patriots.
5
days.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you blow out the Bengals and you win 3 straight to end the year and you wind up in the playoffs. But they lost to the Cardinals, but there was the Mitch Trubisky era, 117 yards passing for Mitch Trubisky in a 24-10 loss to the Arizona Cardinals, and they backed that up with the loss to the New England Patriots behind another 190-yard performance from Mitch Trubisky. But by the way, Deontay Johnson, 57 yards receiving it. How are Deontay Johnson totals doing this year? Are we going to get there?
Not good. He got suspended this week.
No, he didn't. Yeah. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, not going to get there.
Void the bets.
Not going to get there.
Should void the bets.
I got bet intel on that one. Yeah, not great. I was just passing along intel, just like you passed along yesterday that someone made a fake profile to catfish a college football player. So
yes,
we all do. We have to do for information sometimes.
We do what we do, and hopefully that was plenty of information for everybody there. John, Will, appreciate you as always. We'll be back again next week with some more Gambling Group Chat.
All right, back from Gambling Group Chat, Bear. Let's get into my NFL fade of the week. We'll make this one quick so we can get to our best bets here. Kirk Cousins of the Atlanta Falcons is a prime fade opportunity here. I'm not even sure he makes it through the game as the Falcons quarterback, maybe not even to next week. 6 interceptions, Bear, the last 3 games, 0 touchdown passes, going to Minnesota now to play the defense who has the most interceptions per game in the National Football League. I have Cousins over interception here at -155. Now, if that juice is too much for you, Bear, find a money line partner, make it a parlay. You suggested the Eagles, put them together. It's -112. You can go with the same game parlay and go Vikings as well. So I'm okay with the juice on this one. Sometimes you have to lay a little bit of that on some of these props. So I have Cousins over an interception here, really over half an interception, to say, at -155.
Yeah, it was something Will was talking about in the Gambling Group Chat too, with the Falcons against the Brian Flores defense. That seems like a match made in heaven.
Yes,
and a good opportunity there to maybe play something like that. Time now for our best bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I guess I'll go first. He alluded to it. I would have more on Chiefs Chargers later in the show, and I am laying the 4 with the Chiefs. It sounded like John was in a bit of agreement there with me. The McConkey hurt. Dobbins hurt. Chargers so fortunate to have gotten the W in that game last week. A lot of people down on the Chiefs right now. I would expect them after that performance against the Raiders on Black Friday to come home here again and play much better. Chargers have been a great story this year, but now we're finally getting Chiefs to under a touchdown, kind of one possession game to win. I like them here -4.
Look, I'm a
see if we can get Humphries to play.
I would love nothing more than that to happen, Bear. The Chiefs to finally blow someone out. I mean, we saw Travis Kelce after that game, ran up the tunnel. He was pissed. I think they're all just waiting for that to happen.
Enough, yeah.
It's got to happen at some point. And it look, left tackle may be fixed this week with Humphries playing. We don't know his status quite yet. And then obviously just got to be better defensively and rush the passer. So I'm joining with you here. Also, anytime you can favor the Chargers on the road, that's not a bad wager, especially the way they won last weekend. Back on the road now, 2 weeks in a row. All right. My best bet presented by DraftKings Sportsbook is the Giants plus 4.5 Bear. It is an ugly number here. I think I had many things going in my direction. One is the public's all over the Saints in this game. I don't blame you, right? It's Drew Lock and the Giants aren't very talented. Dexter Lawrence on injured reserve. But let's talk about the Saints. This is more of a fade and a best bet combined together. Saints are outside in cold weather, okay? Not a place you want to be as a dome team. Taysom Hill, who's been their best offensive player now for a couple weeks, out for the season, unfortunately, with an injury. Let's talk Derek Carr, their quarterback. Is a road favorite in his career. 36% against the spread, Bear. And as a favorite in general, a road favorite last 16 games. He's covered only one of the last 16 games, Bears a road favorite, has Derek Carr. Not a spot you want to be in. Also, this is a weird thing, too.
I know one of them that they did.
Yeah. Another weird thing, too, is he's only 37% against the spread when playing teams that allow 21 points or more. It's kind of weird. He plays really bad against bad defenses, but plays really well against good defenses over his career, which doesn't make sense. I don't want to be too much of a trend guy here, Bear, but
trends.
I'm just basically fading the Saints on the road, outside in New York against a bad Giants team, but I don't think the Saints are very good without Taysom Hill. Derek Carr doesn't cover as a favorite very often. Give me the Giants' ugly side here. But knowing the way this NFL season has gone, Bear, the Saints will win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I just don't know what you're going to get.
Drew Lock's going to play hard, though. I'll tell you that. The quarterback will play hard for the Giants.
Yeah, and they played hard last week against Dallas. They're not good. So we'll see. I'll root for you.
Thank you.
I mean, hopefully the Saints will win and the Giants will cover. We need to lock in those alt unders on the Giants and the worst record of the season.
I think we're okay on those, no matter what happens this weekend.
Yeah, we should be, but they may have to lose out in order to get worse record, because there are a lot of people in Poop Town right now that are battling for the worst overall record in the league.
But the Giants are playing the worst of the Poop Town teams, though. I think,
and the stamp may have been licked by a lot of people on the field as well. We're gonna lick the stamp and put the closing touches on this one now. Appreciate everybody for checking us out on FS1. Appreciate everybody for checking us out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get all of your podcasts. YouTube channel, always fun. I told her the show looked great yesterday. Someone watched the college show. I said it looked really good.
It's good.
Yeah. So
Jersey Jeff.
Jersey Jeff looked good. Bears background looked good.
I know. You looked great yesterday.
John and Will and everybody and Sammy P yesterday looked great. Thanks again, as always. And remember, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win.